Cheesecake Factory was a net positive to my life, even though certainly removed years off of it, but it was worth it.
No, it's when you have that many years to play with, it doesn't matter.
Yep, that is sound logic for sure.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I've learned from Magic and Runeterra, it's you gotta use your life total as a resource.
Yeah, it's just a resource. So if eating cheesecake is gonna kill you, take years off. It's just a resource.
You just gotta use your life. You gotta use your life as a resource.
Yep.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Runeterrable Radio, episode number 25. I am your host, Blevins. With me, as always, is Saucy Mailman.
Oh, hey, how's it going? I feel like this should be the time this was a pre-show joke, but I think we need to bring it into the podcast for everyone to know, because it was good.
And also to give me some peace of mind.
Yeah. So, do you want to?
Are you talking about the one that had to do with the gift that I posted? Is that what you're referring to?
We could do that. That, and also, I more want to talk about using your life as a resource.
Oh yeah, go for it. You all right? Take us into it.
So, Blevins, who's here? Hey, Blevins, how's it going? You're here on the show with me, as every week. So, DoorDash is an amazing thing, right?
Yeah.
I found out today that you can use DoorDash for many things, including cake.
Yes. And I did that.
So Blevins DoorDashed some cake.
I did.
And he was like, oh, even if it takes some years off my life, that's fine. But learning from Magic the Gathering and Runeterra, you need to use your life total as a resource.
Right.
So if you're taking some years off for some cake, it's worth it.
100%. It's you play Hearthstone, you're playing Gul'dan, you're life tapping. That's just like that's the equivalent. All Gul'dan is doing is ordering cake on DoorDash.
Yeah, someone asked me one time if I were to be a card in Legends of Runeterra, what my effect would be, and I'm like, it's definitely deal 2 damage to your own Nexus to draw a card. Like that's definitely my effect.
Yeah,
100%.
Do you know? We're talking about cake and Gul'dan, but do you know why Gul'dan would never be a good chef?
Why is that?
Because he's almost out of time. Hearthstone nerds will get that and hate it, by the way.
Yep. So how you doing? How's your week? We were just talking about this is the longest week in recorded human history.
Yeah, it is. Multiple people across the internet and in my real life job just all, collectively agreed that today is not Wednesday. It's certainly later in the week. I don't know why. I don't know why it feels like Friday, because it didn't feel like this last week, but it sure does this week.
It's been a long one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. And I know, Saucy, you've been having... I don't know how much you want to get into it, but you've been having even more complications.
Yeah, so for anyone who wants to know about my personal life right now, I've been having obscenely horrendous internet issues. Normally I stream on Mondays and Tuesdays. Could not do either because I was able to stay connected to the internet all of about 10 minutes before I drop out. Right now we're holding kind of steady, but if I just disappear, it's because my garbage trash Comcast internet, who I hate, just screwed up and died on me.
Yeah.
So
really sucks. Also, Comcast, if you want to sponsor the show, hit us up.
Yeah, I will say
RuneterrableRadio@gmail.com.
Amazing things about you. I mean, you can. Hey, and this effect, we don't have to say good things about our sponsors. Hey, they sponsored us. Shit service, terrible.
Yeah,
don't get it, but they're the sponsor this week.
Yeah. Also, Comcast, give us money or else we're going to keep shit talking you every week. So this is a threat.
Yeah.
This is a threat.
Yeah, this has now become a threat sponsorship.
So now if I get shut down, please look for me, because it is the Comcast mafia that's gotten me and has probably broken my legs.
That's guaranteed.
But Legends of Runeterra, that's a game that we all play and love.
Yeah, we played the Legend of Runeterra.
I've been playing a lot. I've been playing a lot lately.
I've been wanting to play so much. I I couldn't play. Like I tried to play some last night because so I couldn't like stream, right? And like maybe my internet's at least stable enough. I think I lost like 14 games trying to play
Ugh.
throughout the day, and like it's just bad. Like it's so bad.
Ugh.
It makes me cry, but that's okay. You've been playing a lot of sea monsters,
I
right?
have. I've been playing some big bilge,
Dude,
and
I've super fallen in love with that deck.
so I have fallen in love with it. I mean, I tend to do this with just a deck that like it feels it like it works for me, and I feel like it happened to me with Karina Control last season, and it's been Sea Monsters this season where like
Mhm.
I get on a nice win streak, and I've had win streaks with other decks. I played like PNZ Demacia, like Bannerman, which is good. Like it's just Bannerman with Vi. It's good, but like
Yeah.
eh. You get sick of playing Badger Bears over and over again
Yeah.
after a while. The Sea Monsters deck has just had so many different it's way more versatile than I thought it was. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's so evolved. It has evolved so much since we the first week when we were talking about it.
Yeah, it's funny because I've also been playing. That's been my like one of my top decks right now. I love it so much, and I think it is the same thing. Like every match feels different.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot of lines you can make. Like sometimes you just like you never draw a Nautilus, you never go deep, and you just are beating them down with big elusives and like big dudes, and like that's fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to play anything because you just vile feast their stuff and they rage quit. So
True.
like it's super fun. You can take it. I like it because you can like I talk all the time when you're playing a control deck, you have to know like when you're going to be the aggressor, when you're going to be the controller, and that deck super rewards you for knowing.
Yes.
Because it's a slow deck, but sometimes you need to race the opponent,
Yep.
right? So I love that. I love that so much.
It really does. It has like I mean, kind of similar to Karina Control. It has like both sides. It's like okay, are you and like I love Maokai being in the deck. The number of Maokais in the deck, I think, is still variable. I've seen as few as 0, which I don't. I want at least one. But
yeah, I think you need at least a Maokai. I still love him. I was playing the Thresh version. I've gone back to 3 Maokais. He's just so strong, and like I like him. I really like him in multiples. So like he's one card where I'll actually keep 2. Like if I want the option to have 2, because if you have 2 Maokais, the first one's always going to die. But you can play it early, and if it doesn't die, the payoff of him staying out for a few turns is insane.
True. That is true.
Like it's so much value. Just getting that extra challenger plant sapling is crazy. It's so good.
Yeah, I've been I'm on 3 Nautilus, 2 Maokai, 1 Twisted Fate actually.
Yeah, Twisted Fate's great.
He's just so good. And I also found that at least at diamond level, people will not let Twisted Fate live at all costs. They will spend any amount of mana. They will throw away any number of cards to kill Twisted Fate on the spot. They will not. There's no wiggle room. There's no leeway. It doesn't matter if it's impossible for there to be a sequence of cards for me to have to level up Twisted Fate next turn. He will not be living.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like unreasonable because he is insane when he flips. I've been playing a lot of Twisted Fate Fizz. That's been like my other go-to deck right now. And that you're actually trying to flip them. You're playing the full 3 copies of pick a card and and rummage. So that one you're actually trying to flip him, but you flip him at burst speed and they can't do much about it. It's strange because Twisted Fate's one of those cards where I think it's completely fine to play him in either way. So there's 2 ways I feel you play him. One is to never even try to flip him. You're just trying to get value, which is what you're kind of doing in this deck, right? Just because at any time you play him, he's super relevant. He's just great. But I mean, you can super flip him too because you're running the what is it? The 4 mana spell.
Yeah,
where you draw 2 cards.
Salvage.
Yeah. Do you ever find that you flip him? Like, have you?
I haven't flipped him yet, but the thing about him and also about Maokai is that he gives the deck another angle of attack. That's
Mhm.
like I can play, I can play the early Maokai, I can play the early Twisted Fate, and like you said, if they kill him, okay. My
Yeah.
game plan is not revolving around flipping Maokai. It's not revolving around flipping Twisted Fate. It's
Yeah.
going to get value now. Maybe I can get a sapling, or not sapling, a sapling. Oh man,
Yeah.
imagine.
I say sapling constantly. Constantly. I always call it a sapling.
Yeah, it is a sapling, even though it's better.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's be honest.
Same with Twisted Fate. Like you're always going to get value off of the card, and then like if I have a salvage, all of a sudden I'm threatening to flip him, potentially at burst speed, potentially out of nowhere. Which again brings me back to my original point of like no one at my level they will spend 3 cards to kill him if they need to.
Yeah,
and I'm just
they
like
don't care.
I'm like I've on multiple occasions had a Maokai out that was at 20 plus stacks, where I'm completely tapped out. It's Maokai with 20 plus stacks and a Twisted Fate with 1 or 2 draws on it, and people are killing the Twisted Fate. I'm like,
Yeah.
you had the option to kill both, and it wasn't like a grasp where it would only kill Twisted Fate. It's like they had the option to pick what they have Vengeance in their hand, and I'm tapped out. They can play the Vengeance on whichever one of these champions
whatever they want.
And it's
there was
like
a Nautilus, like no, that's fine. Twisted Fate,
13, I can
not
block
a chance.
that. Twisted Fate,
Yeah.
In 3 turns that might flip and then get value. So
yeah, I found the same thing playing the Klepto Karma, because I play Twisted Fate and Karma, and I'll have a leveled up Karma and play a Twisted Fate. They're like, nope, Vengeance on Twisted Fate. And I'm like, okay, this Karma's fine though.
Yeah,
Sweet.
it's kind of weird that that people just like. I mean, I get it. Twisted Fate is a really strong card, and I have had the opposite. I've had the opposite happen where I let Twisted Fate live a little bit too long, and then he flips, and I'm like, oh, I'm never getting out of this hole, am I?
And the thing is, like, when he does level up, like, you're having a hard time. Like, if you let it stick around, you're gonna have a hard time winning. And I had a game playing that Fizz game, the Fizz deck, and like my opponent was doing everything right. He killed my Fizz a couple times, and like he was doing great. And he just let the Twisted Fate, like he killed Fizz instead of Twisted Fate, and I like pick a card, rummage, he flips, and then like I'm like, I just have to not die and I win the game.
Yeah.
Like he's playing standalone, and I'm like every single turn I'm freezing his giant monk, and I'm like, have fun. Like,
yeah,
it was awesome.
Nice 1 unit you have there.
Yeah, nice gigantic, like 48. It wasn't that big, but
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. So I've liked the 1 Twisted Fate. Credit where credit's due. I started off with the Impetuous Panda list, which is I think was what really sort of one of the earlier lists that was popularized. Impetuous Panda posted a list, and it had like I think the first wave of changes from like our original views of it, where it was just like, okay,
where you play everything that says deep and everything that says tossed.
Let's go into the let's type in deep, okay, and let's type in toss, and it's like, okay, all right, I've got 2 cards left, okay,
toss them, don't need them,
don't need them at all. But and it's like, also there's a 3 mana card that draws a sea monster. I'll play that card too. So the Impetuous Panda list like added like it cut down on one of the elusive guys, which I called from the beginning, saying that wasn't the best one. It's all right. I've gone back up a little bit on Abyssal Eye, but
I think it's better than I originally thought, but I don't think he's an always 3 of.
I like 2 of them. I really like the 2. It added atrocities, which is like thinking back on it, it's like that's a no-brainer. It's like Nautilus is just a 13/13 they who endure. Like it's always a 13 though. And it cut like, I've seen people running the just the raw Nautilus spell. I forget what it's called.
Card. Hit his hook.
It's like, and that card's strong when you have Nautilus out, and it's unplayable when you don't. So like
Yeah.
I don't want extra copies of that.
But damn, is that card strong?
Yeah, I actually had a play. I mean, it wasn't necessarily because of that card. It was just any removal spell would have done the same thing. But I had a kind of a next level play. Not really. I mean, it's probably pretty obvious, but I like played it. I played that card before, like after they declared blockers before damage happened, because I'm like, oh, I want to get rid of their the Swain ship. I want to get rid of their Swain ship before it gets to their turn, but I need to do it before my Nautilus takes damage, because if they have Noxie and Guillotine, I get blown out. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do this beforehand. Do it. Shuffle the what is that? I forget what that card's called. It's not called Dreadnought. Whatever the Swain ship is.
His boat.
Yeah. I forget what it's something like Dreadnought. It's not called the Dreadnought.
Big boat.
Big Swainy 3 damage boat. Lightning boat. Yep. That's what it's called.
Lightning
it does 3
boat.
It does 3 damage at the beginning of the turn.
I love the lightning boat. Yeah. Wait, isn't that the Dreadnought?
Is it called Dreadnought? No, it's something else like that.
No.
Imperium. Oh God. I'm just sounding.
We're just bad at this game.
Yeah, I'm bad at the names, which is bad because I'm casting the game and that card gets played a lot. But regardless, so I do that. I do all that. I'm like, okay, let this happen. And then he had the Noxie Guillotine. Like I would have gotten blown out if I waited. So, yeah. So that one felt good. But you know, to wrap up the sort of sea monsters deck.
So Leviathan.
I knew it was something like that. Dreadnought, Leviathan.
I went and looked it up.
Phyrexian Dreadnought. It's like a Leviathan type of thing.
I want to. Can I before we wrap up sea monsters, because I want to have this discussion with you, because I've been waiting for this one.
Yes.
I want to know, because this is a debate that I love to have with people.
Okay.
What is your feelings towards the shipwreck hoarder?
Shipwreck hoarder. Funny you should ask that. Because this is one that when I was streaming, people were like, "Oh, you're not running Shipwreck Hoarder. You're not running Shipwreck. Where's the Shipwreck Hoarder?" I think the card is all right, but I like it to have it exactly the number of times that Jaw Hunters gives it to me.
Okay.
I think that the card is fine. So at least in the version that I've been running, there's like, you obviously want to have Devourer, 3x Devourer. That's the best one by a country mile.
Best card in the deck.
by a country mile.
Yeah,
so that one
fish is nuts.
That's not getting touched. The 2 Abyssal Eyes, I think those also stay, because those are actually, especially when you have Atrocity in the deck, like those are a real win condition. And like you're actually running enough of the front end to not get like super out-tempoed like we were in the beginning, where it was like, I don't play anything until turn 3 where I play my thing that makes all the sea monsters cost less.
Yep.
I'm not playing the 4-drop guy, because it's just like, if I wanted if I really wanted,
doesn't do much.
If this is the card I wanted to be playing, I would just play Demacia and play a 3-mana version of it. Like,
it's just generic, dude.
Yeah. Also, let's think about that for a second. That a badger bear can kill that, like in a battle between a badger bear and that sea monster, they both end up killing each other. Just let that one sink in. In terms of the lore, a single badger bear can take out that giant sea monster. But so I think there's like the list I'm running has I think 1, maybe 2 slots available for like an additional big drop. A lot of people,
usually an atrocity.
Well, no, the atrocities are already in there. I'm already running 2 atrocities. Like they're not.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you're running 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm running 2. I like the 2 because I think I want one most games, and unlike some of the other decks like Karina, the non 4+ follower card, or 4+ 4+ cost follower cards, they're gonna get tossed in a lot of the games. So like, cards like if you're just running a 1x atrocity and you actually want it a good number of times, it's gonna get tossed some of those. So the second one I think actually helps. But So long story short, I can see running Shipwreck Order. I'm actually running Sheriff Lariat Rose right
I
now.
saw that.
That is a tech from Prismat who ran that in tournament, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh man, I'm all about this
It's
card.
good.
It is good. So it's a 6 mana 4/5. Maybe it's a 5/6.
Something like that.
It's a 6 mana something. It doesn't really matter how big it is. Maybe it might actually be a 5/6, but it gives you a little more like it it gives you a little more like playability, or like playing around certain things. It allows you to, if they have like a unyielding unit, like you
Mhm.
can play the Lariat Rose and like pull it to the end and get them
Yeah.
like that. Like it has a lot of versatility. I'm not necessarily sold on it. I'm not sold on any of the cards, honestly. Shipwreck
Yeah.
Order is fine. The 8 mana fearsome, give all the sea monsters fearsome one is fine.
I love him. I always play one of him.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the specific sea monster that you have in the deck is not as important as just having a big
Yeah.
dude. So like what Jaw Hunters gives you is usually just fine.
It doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't.
But the reason I originally said it was interesting that you say that is I was having this conversation on stream a couple of days ago.
I was here for this.
Oh yes, that's right. And someone asked, like, is the Shipwreck Order good? And I go, I was about to explain, like, really you need to think about, is the difference in power between just having a big unit better than the power level that you get from the treasures. And of course, as I'm explaining this, I draw the 5 mana create 5 cards treasure, and I'm like, okay, here's a perfect example. I'm gonna play this and we'll see if this is on average better than like just playing the elusive guy. And I play it and I get like 5 just complete bombs. Like can't, like any one of the cards would have been better than the elusive guy, but all 5 of them were. I just win on the spot. Wasn't close. I'm like, well, I was trying to make a reasoned argument and I just high rolled the shit out of it. So throw that right in the garbage. So long story short, don't listen to me play the treasure card. It's fun.
So Shipwreck Order is interesting because I refuse to play the deck without 2 copies of it.
Okay.
Mostly, and not because I think the card is good or is worth 2 spots in the deck. It's because it's my favorite card.
Yeah.
It's the most fun card.
Yes.
It's just like the biggest problem with it, and like for all of its downsides, is it does not affect the board at all when you play it.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have any relevant stats that matter because it's just a big dude that they can chump block with 1/1s all day. Like it doesn't do anything when you play it. But when you draw those treasures, you just win most of the time. It's nuts. I had I've got to find a way to make a YouTube video about this, but the game wasn't super exciting. But I was getting my ass handed to me this entire game. It was against I think it was Ezreal Karma, and he had Karma out. I had no way to win. I'd been beating him down though. He was at exactly 4 health points. This is what matters. He's at 4 health points. I draw the treasure, and I'm like about to concede. I have literally no way to win this game, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll just play the treasure and see what happens. Well, him being again 4 health points, I get Captain Farron as one of my 0 cost things. And I turned my hands into Decimate, and I win on the spot.
Wow.
And it was, I couldn't talk. I was sitting there just in shock. I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, oh, let's do it again. I'm like, all right, I have like Mystic Shot. All right, that's, here's some like a Mushroom Cloud.
Yeah.
Captain Farron. Oh, that's a way to win.
That's amazing.
It's too fun. So I don't know.
Yeah.
At least slot one in because the card is a blast. But yeah, my problem is I cut down on the cards that shouldn't be flex spots. I'm like, oh, we don't need though. We don't need Atrocity, or we don't need whatever. Like I always cut down like core cards to just put those in.
I think on ladder you definitely want Atrocity. I could see if you're bringing a tournament lineup and you have this like the matchups for this deck planned out, like you can cut certain cards, and like that's actually what we saw. You know, in the last Duels of Runeterra tournament, we saw Prismat again, who's been on the show, was actually I think our first pro player guest way back in the day. He actually ran like a pretty non-traditional list, or like wasn't very close to the Impetuous Panda like ladder list because it was in tournament, and like I'm not bringing this in against, you know, this deck or this deck or this deck. Like I'm only like I'm hoping to have this against whatever, or like I can ban the bad matchup for it. So he was like not running Atrocity. He was running a very different list.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue, because this is a conversation, another one that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
We ran out of time last week, but let's talk about tournaments. We're seeing a lot more tournaments. This is great. And we're finally starting to see differences between tournament and ladder lists. And there's been some unique stuff. And I mean, you've been casting a ton, so you get to see all of the sweet lists. How do you feel that's been? Like, whereas people are like learning how to tech things and change for tournament lists.
Oh yeah, you can definitely tell when someone has teched for the tournament specifically. Like there is, you know, Prismat is the one I've talked about already. Tournament Grinder, he's, you know, making day twos of all these events. He is very much building his, not just his list, but his lineup for a specific purpose. It's maybe it's a Ban Demacia list, or a Ban Ionia or lineup, Ban Ionia lineup, where it's like, okay, guess what? I can bring another one is a G'day Maverick, who built this undying Fiora list, unyielding Fiora list that he hit #1 in EU on the ranked ladder with, but he said himself, hey, this is actually not a good ladder list. It was only good because people didn't know what to expect when they see Shadow Isles Freljord. They're like, I don't know. Like, here's the thing, because like on ladder, you don't know what you're going to play against. Your opponent can literally be playing any deck in the game. In tournament, like if you think of a deck like Unyielding Fiora, or any unyielding style build, Unyielding Kegs even, you know, what screws that over? Of course, #1, Sir William of Ionia, right? Like, but here's the thing in tournament. Just go, oh, whatever Ionia deck they're playing, I'm banning it.
Yeah, exactly. So we had the Twitch Rivals event happened, and this is something that I was, you know, chatting a bit with Mogwai, because he was talking about how he built a lot of his lists around the the Freljord, Demacia, Fiora standalone deck that he built. And he was saying, he's like, this isn't a deck that you can take on ladder, but since I'm going to ban everyone who's playing Ionia, like every Ionia deck gets banned, so I can really hinge on this being an all-star deck. And so that is, like you said, something where you can really get away with unyielding whatever. I've been playing Unyielding Fizz. Not good. But like, yeah, it's something super interesting. And if you follow any of the Twitter accounts, like Decks of Runeterra and all of those accounts,
Runeterra decks,
a lot of them, we're starting to get to somewhere where I guess my advice when you're looking at these lists, when you're looking for things to ladder with, see where they come from, because a lot of the lists you see, if it's just a good list, or like, oh, someone here's a list from this pro player, make sure it's not a very specifically teched tournament list,
right?
Because you may not see the same results. And I had someone was in my chat, I forgot who, but they were like, yeah, I'm playing this list and I'm just having real bad luck, but I saw someone did good with it or something. I'm like, oh, let's look at it. I'm like, where'd you find this list? And they linked it. I'm like, oh, this is a tournament list, and like there's things that you're not going to be able to like it's teched specifically for something, and this is not like a just generic always good ladder list.
Yeah, and honestly, it's really tough because you know, and to shout out another former guest on the show, Cosmic, has said on Twitter, like he's had days where he's been in Masters and he's won 15 in a row, had a stream where he just won 15 in a row, was on top of the world, queued up the next day on stream, played the same exact list, and just tanked it into the garbage. And the reason, it's not that he forgot how to play the deck or that people leveled up in a day. It's like Even take a deck like Sea Monsters. Sea Monsters has really good matchups against Burn. Like it's a very favored matchup against Burn. I believe it's good against Karina and the other control decks as well. But it's not
Mhm.
super great against Bannerman lists. It's not super great against Bannerman lists and like aggressive Demacia.
Yeah.
Like think Lucian style builds. It's not super great against those. So if I have a day where I play 20 games and all 20 of them are against Burn, I'm probably gonna win 15 to 18 of those games and
Mhm.
be and post on Twitter and say 98% win rate, 90% win rate with this deck. It'll get retweeted a bunch of times by all the deck things, and people are going to copy it. The next day, everyone is bringing, Demacia Splash Vi. You're gonna have a bad time. You're not gonna have as good. You're not maybe not gonna have a bad time, but you're gonna
Yeah.
see a win rate much closer to 50 or 40%, 45%. Just because that's what the ladder is.
Yeah.
It's and this is something that I think it's way higher level. It's fundamental to the game, and I have no idea whether this would ever happen. I don't even know if the people in charge have the same core belief. But it's part of why I've said I want the ladder experience and the tournament experience to be very close, if not
Mhm.
identical. It's what it's like in Magic the Gathering. You play
Yeah.
best two. I mean, Magic MTG Arena is a little bit different because you play like best of one is different than best of three. But for the most part, you're playing the same format. You're playing one deck. You're playing a game of Magic. Sometimes you can play best of three on ladder, and you're gaining. Like if you play in a tournament, it's the same thing. Now the tournament meta might be different, but the format is the same.
Yeah.
Then it's just about what are you expecting to see more or less. When it's again
Mhm.
like the format of tournaments right now for Runeterra compared to what the ladder format is vastly different. Three
Yeah.
decks, no overlap, single ban is just drastically different from one deck, best of one, play whatever you want.
Mhm.
With the normal deck building restrictions, obviously. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's a PSA for sure. Make sure if you're grabbing decks from these great resources, and this
Yeah.
is not a dig on net decking. I am the
No.
net decker. I am not a deck builder. Saucy is a deck builder and a brewer, and you're very good at it, and you love doing that. I don't, and I'm not good at brewing.
Well, it's also not something that everyone does love. Like
Right.
I would say most people don't necessarily want to take the time to sit there and like brew and math out why something's good. Like a lot of people are playing the game to play the game, not so
Right.
much to like build the things.
Yeah.
And taking someone's list that they've already played 200 games on ladder
Right.
while you're at work and can't do that, you just want to go home, take a deck you know is good and play it. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But yeah, like these resources are great. Just make sure you're using them intelligently.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the last point to that, like I said, you can tell, like, just from, I mean, we see a lot of the same, we see, Casanova and myself have casted, I think we figured out like the last 8 weeks or something of these weekly events. And, when you start seeing the same people, I mean, it's actually been pretty diverse, but when you see a lot of the familiar faces in these day twos, like,
Yeah.
and those people are very much, um, you know, tweaking their lists. Prismat, I think, is one of he makes some of the biggest splashes of
Mhm.
like, yeah, this card's just not good. Or like very much honed in on I can ban this region and shifts his mind and his mindset and his deck building mindset very drastically
Yeah.
in a way that I don't do at all. And I think a lot of people don't. To be like, okay, I don't need to play against this. I can build my deck with these new parameters.
Yeah.
Mogwai actually was he played in an event probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I think it, at least for me, from where I was sitting casting it, it really felt like the first time that we really saw, oh, someone built this lineup and really had their finger on the pulse of the meta. It was an anti-Bannerman list. It was
Mhm.
all three of these decks crush Bannerman.
Yep.
And because of the way the format works, you can Mogwai can ban any deck that's not Bannerman. everyone's playing Bannerman, and they have to win at least one game with Bannerman in order to win.
Yeah.
And if Bannerman can't beat any of the 3 decks that you bring, it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter what the other deck is. Right? So
yeah, so I want to say you're winning by them not being able to win.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a thing. Like that's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yep. And and Mogwai made a really deep run in that event. I think he top forward. And we saw him lose to Bannerman one time. Unfortunately, it was in the top 4 when it really mattered, but he lost to it one time total that we saw, at least on day 2. So yeah, I mean, it's a format, and it's a format that really can reward you being on top of the meta, on top of like certain cards being good in certain situations, knowing what to ban and all that. Like, it goes super, super deep, and you're rewarded very heavily for that, at least at this point. So it's really cool to see that. But yes, if you're just playing ladder, make sure you're grabbing ladder decks and not tournament decks.
Yeah, exactly. We also, so back to Twitch Rivals.
Yes.
The most important thing, we can talk about the players and how they placed in decks. That's not that important. What's really important is we got to see the region stats of just, statistically using raw data, what the best regions are. Yeah. And I'm proud to say Piltover and Zon number 1.
Number 1.
This is just based on games played and win rate, not just because I live in Piltover and that's where I've bought real estate. And also, non-surprisingly, if we were all to guess what the bottom region is, the least well represented,
is it Freljord?
It's Freljord. Yeah, Freljord is in the toilet.
It's the buffalo of Runeterra. No one wants to be here. It's too cold.
Yep, exactly. So, but yeah, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm sure. When this was over just about a week ago, right?
It was exactly 6 days ago, right? Because we were talking about it, and we're like, "It's tomorrow. Make sure you're watching it."
Yeah, yeah. So if you didn't see the placings, Dog took first.
Yep.
Good old Dog. Swim took second. Crap. And my internet went out. Sweet. I am still here though.
Yes. Yeah, so it was a the way that it worked, 16 total players. They played 3 rounds. After that 3 round, there was a cut. Top 8 went into an upper bracket. Bottom 8 went into a lower bracket. And then they played out a bracket single elimination, and you got prizes based on it. Top bracket had the top prize of 20,000. Bottom bracket had a top prize of 5K. And everyone at least got 2,500. So Mogwai ended up winning the lower bracket. And then, as you said, Dog won against Swim in the finals of the upper bracket. So, there was a lot of talk about, hey, how come there weren't more, Runeterra streamers? How come there weren't more, tournament players and whatnot in the event? And we saw a Hearthstone streamer win. And I gotta say, if you didn't watch it, if you guys didn't watch it, definitely take a look and watch some of that event, especially the finals and any of Dog's matches, honestly, because Dog is not a tournament grinder and he doesn't stream a ton of Runeterra, but you can just tell just from watching him, he has such a high level understanding of card game and value, card game fundamentals, where you need, what actually matters in a card game, without even needing to be super familiar with the meta or the format or any of that. So it was definitely a really good display of just macro skills without even needing to be super ingrained in Runeterra specifically. Unfortunately, it looks like we may have lost Saucy for the time being, so bear with us, chat. I'm gonna give him a minute here, and if he is not back, I will forage on. As we know, Saucy has been having some issues, so We're going to take a quick break, at least for the recording, and I'll be back in just a second. Hey guys, it's Future Blevins here, and I just wanted to take this time because we had an unplanned break to tell you, join the Discord, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. It is the place to be. Both myself and Saucy basically live there. So if you want to get in touch with either myself or Saucy in relatively real time, we both kind of have jobs, so we are on Discord all the time. Check out the Discord, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. Again, lots of awesome community members there. Many of you have made a name for yourself in there, and we mention you on the show from time to time as well. And we take questions, all that good stuff. The place to be is discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. So if you haven't already, make sure you join that, and we'll see you there.
Join us today.
All right, folks, we are back. Sorry about that. Tisk Comcast. We've already talked about it at the top of the show.
We warned you all. So, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Chat, remind me what we were talking about. Twitch Rivals. Yes.
We're talking about Twitch Rivals.
Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about with Twitch Rivals, because this was a hotly contested thing. We already talked about the people that were invited. I'll put a pin in that and say, or put a ribbon on that and say, an event like Twitch Rivals is not the World Championship for Runeterra, and it shouldn't be treated like that. It is not the showcase of the greatest players in Runeterra, or any Twitch Rivals event for that matter. TFT. It's the same conversation. Every community has the same conversation about every Twitch Rivals event. And I will say this, fill in the blank for what game it is. The Twitch Rivals events are to showcase Twitch streamers and to showcase the game to new players. It is not to get the best player in the world and crown a champion of Runeterra. Yes, I understand that leaves a little bit of a sour taste in people's mouths, perhaps because it's such a high prize pool, and we're not at that point yet for Runeterra where there's $20,000 prize pools given out every week. So obviously we want to see that, offered up to people in the scene. But Twitch Rivals is like the benefit for Runeterra that Twitch Rivals is providing, I think, is greater than what a lot of people were and are giving it credit for.
Fact.
Okay, so the other hotly talked about and contested thing was the whole swim Mogwai rope thing, and I don't know how much thought you've put into this, Saucy, but I have thoughts on it.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so a couple of things. The first thing I want to say is people who think that Swim was doing that egregiously to try to game the system, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
That's malarkey.
Yeah.
Now, if you've watched Swim play any game competitively, he thinks about the plays a lot. He's roping all the time. It's not to game the system. He's not doing that on his stream randomly. He's not roping. He's thinking about his plays. And in tournament play, you take your time and make sure, especially when you're playing for that much money, you take your time and make sure. The second point is people are like, oh, well, like the counterpoint to that is like, oh, well, the format was terrible. Why are there time limits on this? I will say, as someone who is more on the tournament administrator side than the player side these days, you absolutely need time limits.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, myself and Casanova casted for 15 hours on one day because there weren't time limits. That is unacceptable. You will not get people that want to participate and cast or TO your events if you don't have something like that, because 15 hours in one day is awful. Cosine Joe in the chat is bringing up a chess timer. That would be I think the best answer, right? It's like Magic Online. That would be the best answer.
Yeah.
Not easy to implement when it's not in game.
Yeah, and like that's the thing is like we have these things that would be ideal, right? Something like that would be ideal. And I could see us getting something like that when we have an in-client tournament mode, or we have like a dedicated tournament mode. Like that's easier to do. Right now, we're all just kind of like trying to grassroots these tournaments and just like make them happen.
Exactly. It's either like if you want to wait for there to be the perfect tournament scene and like a spectator client and chess clocks, it's like, okay, well, I mean, I'll see you in 2.5 years or whatever, right? It's like, but I want to get the, it's chicken and the egg, right? Like, except we know that we need to be putting the egg there first, right? Like we as the community need to be, hatching that egg immediately. We can't wait for the chicken to come around. So, I mean, without going into too much of the minutia of it, like the Twitch Rivals timer, it was there for a reason. It was there for obviously the run of show, more so than the tournament, which I think maybe they could have reconsidered that, but also like it's meant to be promotional, this, that. Like they very clearly picked that time so that it would fit in a certain time slot.
Yeah.
And maybe they could have made it longer, but again, like these are not things, like this is not an event where it's like, okay, well, we can just run an hour over or whatever, right? Because like
can't.
it's like people are working, right? Like it's a professional event in that people are getting paid to be there, paid to do this. It's like, think about it like this. It's like, what if you're at your job and it's just like, oh, just stay an extra hour? Like,
stay another 2. It's
how many times, whether you've done that or not, I'm sorry if you had, but how many times did you feel good about that? And how many times are you, how many times are you willing to do that and want to come back and do that later? So I would just say, think about it from that side. Yes, I think in ideal circumstances, there would have been more time. There would have been more time on the round clocks. I think it was a little, it was a little bit too much. Swim is just naturally a slow player, which I mean, I've said on broadcast before, I'm anti taking forever, but that's just me. And like, when someone's playing in a competitive event for that much money and you have the time, take your time, make your correct plays. You don't have to be thinking everything out every time. And yes, it sucks for Mogwai because of the instances. And also Swim put out a statement about how he, like with Crip, he essentially conceded to Crip to give him the win because he felt bad. He tried to do that with Mogwai. It didn't, the tournament staff, or like it was already too late or whatever. So anyone who's harboring ill will against Swim for that, I'm just telling you right now, don't. No reason to. It was not egregious. I guarantee you that. And anyone who's harboring ill will against Twitch Rivals for that format, again, like just think a little bit harder about what that event was.
Yeah.
So
it may show my camera's not here, but I'm still here. We're having Discord issues also.
Classic Discord.
So yeah, I mean, so here's my take, because people, come into my chat, oh, what's your take on this? Blah, blah, blah. One, I'm not one to speak for other people. So if it's one of those things, like if you want to know about how they feel about each other, whatever, go talk to them.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had both of them on. We've had Swim and Mogwai on the show.
True.
I'm personal friends with both of them. They're friends with each other. Yeah. Like if you're watching the match before their game, they were just casually chatting with each other and just shooting the shit. Like they're friends in real life.
Yeah.
So it's not that they're like harboring bitterness. As someone who has been at one time like a full-time tournament grinder with like Magic the Gathering, the times I've played the absolute worst are in the biggest tournaments. When the worst I've ever played in like Hearthstone was at DreamHack second day. Like first day play completely fine, everything's great. The second day I'm like, there's something about the pressure, right?
Yeah.
There's now all of a sudden it's a real thing. And it happens the same thing in like in Magic Grand Prix. The first couple matches, like, all right, you're way more relaxed, but then you're like, oh man, I've made day 2. Now I'm in the top 64 or whatever. Yeah. Now the pressure's on. And I play fast. I'm a fast player.
Yeah.
I play way too fast, and that's one of my biggest downfalls is I don't think enough.
Yep.
I go with what I think is the right play and just do it. And which that works on ladder. But when there's $25,000 on the line, no matter who you are, you can say that you're not going to do this, but you're going to think a little more, right?
Yeah.
and that's just totally natural. And especially for someone like you said, Swim he is more methodical. He is more analytical about his plays. He thinks about things. And that just gets amplified when a large sum of money is on the line.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, I just really don't. The negativity is just it upsets me. The negativity upsets me.
Yeah, exactly. And it happens. I'm just like, come on, this is a new community. This is our first limelight, right? We're going into this Twitch Rivals thing and like represent ourselves better.
Right.
Be positive.
Yeah. The thing that really got it for me was like someone I tweeted about how I thought the event was great. How it had I said, I don't remember the exact tweet. I said something to the effect of, really enjoyed the event, thought it was a great showcase, definitely had kinks that can be improved upon in the future, but I hope there's more events like this. And someone responded like, oh, I think that this turned people off from competitive Runeterra. Like if they saw this as their taste of the esports scene, then they're not going to want to come back. It's like, well, let me break that down then. So you're saying that someone who hasn't already seen competitive Runeterra did see it because of this event. Check that off as a positive already before we've even gotten into what you're saying. You're also saying someone who thinks that this is a competitive esports event, that it is like the championship. So it's someone who wasn't watching and doesn't understand what's going on. Which I think that's a check mark if we're getting those eyes on the game and on the community. And then they make this bold assumption based on nothing and not actually looking into event. It's like, okay, well, I mean, is that person ever going to, like, do you ever convince that person of anything? Like, you know, it's like, don't argue with your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving, because, you know, as someone who in 1 month is turning into a boomer, an esports boomer, you're not, that person's not changing their mind. They don't want to. They don't need, you know, like, you don't have, like, just based on what that person said, I think they already like just showed that the event is a success. And like, if you watch Twitch Rivals and you're like, oh no, I'm not getting into this competitive community because this is what it is. I get that this is the first tournament and the game's been out for a month and it's not run by Riot. It's a Twitch Rivals event. And I've had my blinders on for every other Twitch Rivals event, which is very clearly a promotional event that's meant to showcase streamers in the game. This is what competitive is. Get me off of it. It's like,
I'm out of here.
Smell you later, buddy.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
This is horse poop.
This isn't the competitive scene I'm accustomed to.
It's like, well, what is? And does that game have a Twitch Rivals event?
Yeah. Which game? Oh, well, there's this game that I developed, actually. It's got 8 players. Our community is amazing.
It's like, oh, I found one of the developers of Shadowverse. He was on my Twitter trying to tell me.
Yeah.
It's just
like
it's just like in Clerk, you know the movie Clerks, where it's like the Chuli's gum rep is just coming in and drumming up all this stuff about how smoking is bad. He's like, you kids need to quit smoking. You should instead chew Chuli's gum. And it turns out he's a Chuli's gum rep. It's like, these Runeterra events are terrible. You kids should try out Shadowverse. For what it's worth, no one from the Shadowverse community has said that was just the first game that came to mind. But it's just like, it's not even Ben Brode anymore. But it would be really funny to see Ben Brode with like the like Groucho Marx glasses, being like, these Runeterra events are run terribly. Why don't you try Hearthstone Battlegrounds and some grilled cheese?
It's like we're gonna go back to the I'm a Mac and I'm a PC commercials type thing. That's the marketing I want. Yeah. I want all advertising to just be slamming on the other games. That's how we should do it.
Yep, that's what it should be. It's like, but I'm not even supposed to be here. Yeah, this is a Clerks podcast now. That's my favorite movie of all time. By the way, for anyone who's trying to get some anyone who's playing Blevins trivia at some day in the future. There's an answer to a question. I'm sure that will come up at some point.
It's funny because every Friday night, myself and a handful of people from the community, we host Blevins trivia.
Yeah, and I'm never invited, which is weird. But
no, you can't be there because it's about you, and then it gets awkward. So when you're doing game nights, that's why I can't join because I'm doing Blevins trivia.
I get it now.
Yep.
Everyone's doing Blevins trivia on Saucy Stream, and I'm over here streaming like an idiot.
Yep, like a big dummy.
Like a big dumb idiot, but classic me. Okay, but that's Twitch Rival. Any other last thoughts on Twitch Rivals, Saucy? What'd you think of it?
Not really. If you can go and see. I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen all the deck lists and stuff, but you can go and see all the deck lists. There's some interesting ones. I'm not going to go into any specifics, but I think one of the coolest things that we did get from not having all Runeterra people were there were some interesting decks. There were some unique card choices, and it was funny seeing chat be like, "Why the fuck are they playing that card?" And
why the f is that card getting played?
Yeah, somebody like Ruination makes no sense in that. Just like just whatever, just crazy stuff. So it was fun.
Third-rate duelist with a ninth-rate deck.
That's what,
yep, exactly.
Oh god, it's funny how like immediately like best player in the world Twitch chat gets when they see someone who's not a pro playing the game.
Yeah. So that's even like echoing back to what we said, especially if you're pulling deck lists from Twitch Rivals. Yes. One, it's a tournament, and two, there's people that aren't even necessarily Legend of Runeterra players that are playing some of these decks. So just be mindful of what you pull.
Yes. Okay, so to end it here, there's a question that we didn't get to last week that I think is interesting and ties into Twitch Rivals as well. So it'll be sort of a nice little ribbon to the end of the show and the end of the Twitch Rivals discussion. So Jelly in the Discord again, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. Make sure you guys are there if you're not already. We want you. We need you. They asked the more important question: would you guys play meta decks if you were invited to Twitch Rivals? And if not, and it happened tomorrow, what would you bring? Saucy, I want to start with you on this one because I feel like you have a much more interesting answer than I do.
That's hard to say. So I would play competitive decks. So I play tournaments kind of the same way that I play ladder, where if I'm on the line for actual money, right? I'm gonna play good decks, but I'm still putting in. I like to put in what I call fun ofs, and I put in some weird shit. So I like to take something that's like a well-known arc. Like I'll play not necessarily a meta deck, but I'll play meta archetypes, right?
Okay.
And I think there's a difference there. Like even going back to us talking about sea monsters, like the sea monsters deck that I play is going to be way different than Blevins, because I'm playing a couple. I'm like at Shipwreck Order. I'm playing them all. Like I'm playing those.
You're playing a fun of Shipwreck Order. It's just the one on top of the two that you're already playing. Yeah,
but like. I like to. Some of my favorite moments I've ever had in tournaments is, and I did this in Magic. I would always my rule every time I was going to a Grand Prix or going to a big event, I would always leave a spot for one spicy card every single time, and without fail, the time I play it is going to be fun. So like, I'd be playing something in this tournament. I'd probably bring in like TF Fizz, because I really like that, but. I would play something like a one of Mind Meld or something, just something spicy, just because you don't expect it.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what 3 decks I would bring because I've never put together like tournament lists for this game specifically where you're building based on regions. Yep. So yeah, I don't know what I would play exactly. I'd probably play something like Ash Sejuani, Fizz TF. And then I guess I had to play. Okay, what do we have? Shadow Isle still.
You'd have so if you ran, I'm assuming you're running TF Fizz is Ionia is the second.
No, that's gonna be Piltover and Zong.
Okay, so you've got that.
So you have Ionia, Shadow Isles.
Ionia, Shadow Isles, and you also have Demacia left in the 3 regions left, so you could play a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna play Karma. Callista.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yep, it's gonna be pretty hot. No,
Nice.
I'd probably just play something like yeah, I don't know. It'd probably just be like honestly something with Lee Sin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of Lee Sin actually has been a pretty
I think he's
overwhelming
unsolved.
card. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Because he's like he's very he's in a very interesting spot because he's very powerful, but he's very slow, methodical. It's interesting. I would say stay tuned for Lee Sin.
I guess I could probably play like Lee Sin Fizz because that's a deck that I played a lot.
True.
And have that be my Bilgewater Ionia, and then I'd play some sort of Karina variant because I have Piltover and Zon Shadow Isles.
Okay.
So some sort of Karina variant, just because it's just good. And that the good thing about that is that's my deck that gets banned, right? So then I can play my two fun decks.
There you go. There you go. Well, if I were making a lineup, it would definitely include Sea Monsters for sure as my anchor, pun intended. Would anchor with that, and then I would probably the deck that I have the most experience with outside of that is just boring old Demacia, just mono D or like Demacia plus P&Z though. Demacia plus P&Z I think is a little bit better, but it's not better in tournament because that takes away P&Z from another deck. So I would probably my first two decks would be Demacia, just mono Bannerman, and Sea Monsters, and then that leaves a lot of room. I've got Ionia, P&Z, and Noxus, and Freljord. Actually, I have 4 regions I could still play. Right? Or am I? Yeah. I still have 4 regions I can play, so I could play. I could play Ash Sejuani, that Noxus deck, like that Skara. No, sorry, not Skara. Gara. Mixing up streamers. That Gara ran and was pretty good. We saw a lot of that in tournament as well. There's some fun ups you can run in that. I've seen people teching in Yetis in that, which is cool.
Yeah. I've been playing the Ash Sejuani Noxus deck a lot.
Yeah. I played it. I played it an all right amount. I didn't care for it too much on ladder, but I think in tournament it would be better when I could actually like line it up a little bit better. I could play Karma Ezreal, any of the Ionia P&Z variants, whether it's Heimerdinger, Karma, Ezreal, any of that. I could also play, what else do I have? Freljord. I mean, there's actually been a little bit of a resurgence in Freljord Ezreal. We saw a little bit of that in tournament, like classic style, but it now runs Vi instead of like essentially it runs Vi instead of like Bull Elnuk. But it's like same old, freeze a bunch of stuff, play a bunch of spells, win with Ezreal in the late game.
Yeah.
So that's the it would really, I would, if I were playing in a tournament, I would consult my council of top tier players and friends who would be able to help me figure out what the best third deck to play is, but that's where I would start.
Yeah. I mean, I'd obviously put a lot more thought than just me spewing out stuff here.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot of room for a lot of cool stuff. And it's also different because I don't even remember what people were playing as much a week ago because the meta changes literally every day.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't have brought Sea Monsters though, because I wasn't on the Sea Monsters bandwagon until this last week. Like I've just recently have gotten addicted to it. It's been super fun. Before that, I was playing just so many Fizz decks, so many Sejuani decks. I'm playing a lot of Sejuani.
She's been really good.
Yeah, she is very good.
Sejuani Teemo, maybe?
Yeah, Sejuani Teemo's cool. I don't think it's as good, though. I think she's like Sejuani's just so good with Noxus. Noxus is just so good. Like you lock them out with a City Breaker. Like it's really stupid.
Yeah.
The Teemo deck is, I think, more quote unquote fun, but it's less consistent.
Yeah.
Because like Teemo dies to everything. So
that is still true, unfortunately.
Yep. But you get to play Iron Potion in that deck, so it's like the best card to play with Teemo.
True. True. You can Elixir of Iron to save the Teemo.
Yeah. But I do want to like not now, but at some point when there's more tournament, like when we have a client, I want to do a lot of like deck building restrictions tournaments and stuff, like, because I know we'll run tournaments here from Runeterrable, like, because you guys keep asking about it. But I want to do like you can't just bring the top 3 best meta decks. Like you have to, there's restrictions and things you have to think about. So I think that'd be fun. I love tournaments like that.
That would be fun. Yeah, those like, I mean, that's what's really cool about Magic is like Magic is a game, obviously, but Magic is like a system, and you can build so much out of it. So
we would do that at yeah, we did that in Magic at my local game store. Like every month we'd run a fun tournament and we'd have restrictions like you have to use only card, or like 60% of your deck has to be from the most recent set, stuff like that. And it just it's some interesting fun stuff. Just putting restrictions on yourself makes you a better player. I strongly believe that.
And it like makes cooler decks because like, you know, I mean it's not relevant in Runeterra now because there's so few cards comparatively, but like there's always like really cool cards in Magic like that are in a set that are like, oh man, this would be so cool if I could just play like this, but it's like because standard is at this power level, this really cool thing that's at like slightly under that power level just literally never gets played. And now there's like, there used to be block constructed where you could only play with cards from the most recent block, but that kind of got phased out, so we don't see that as much. But there are always cool decks in that, and I don't know. It would definitely be cool though once we get like a bigger pool, and I mean we could even do it now for sure. Like
I mean if we even think about how like we did all those riot challenges,
I was just gonna say that.
Stuff like that. Like
that was really fun.
I legitimately think I became better at the game by having to play like you don't like you learn about cards when you have restrictions. That you say like it's crazy just like how you're thinking. Like the challenge for instance, or there you had to play a deck where there were every card that had the word deep on it, but you couldn't ever go deep when you won. So like you're trying to like you can't play any of the good toss stuff, right? So you're trying to think, how do I make all these giant things playable? And that's when I was like, oh wait, we could play like the smooth soloist or whatever their name is and stuff like that. So I don't know. I love this kind of, I mean, I could talk about that all day, which we're obviously not going to do. But you know where you can talk about this all day with me? Our Discord.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a great segue. Discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. That is the best place to be at all times. We're always talking. We're always talking about Runeterra. There's all sorts of man. I did not expect this to happen, but people are hella helpful with new players and hella helpful with people who are like, hey, I got this deck. I just want to make it a little bit better. Can you guys take a look at it? There are tons of people in the Discord that want to help and that they want your help and they want to help you. So if that any of that sounds fun, or if you just want to hang out with us, join us at discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. And also we, you know, post about all the stuff that we're doing. We're going live, show, all that good stuff. But besides there, Saucy, where else can people find you on the internet?
Oh, me. So you could go to my website, saucymailman.com. And then also on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter, I'm just at saucymailman. I'm currently streaming 4 days a week. It may bump up a bit in the near future. And I'm trying to get more consistent on my YouTube uploads. I'm trying to go up to like 5 a week, but it's been we've had a rough couple of weeks here in personal lifeville, and internetville. So but yeah. I will say, so right now, I don't know when you guys listen to this, on this coming Friday, I have some new sweet merch that's Nautilus themed coming out. One of them, I'm gonna throw you, everyone who's here live gets to see it soon, but I commissioned an artist to draw a Nautilus hugging shipwreck hoarder, and that's a sticker. And it's adorable.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's happening.
That is amazing. Super, super sweet. If you guys want to follow me, join the Discord. I'm in there all the time. But if you want to follow me, you can go to Twitter at @the_Blevins. That's me. I post all my stuff from other various games and podcasts and stuff I'm doing. Casting, all that good stuff. I've been
you're casting a lot.
I mean, me and he should just change his name to Castanova at this point.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Me and Casanova have casted. I believe this week will be the 9th week in a row that we've casted one of the weekly events. We also very soon may have another weekly event to announce. Maybe. I'm gonna wait until the details are finalized on that, but as our good friend Papa John has once said in an interview, stay tuned. The hour of reckoning is coming. 25 pizzas in the last 12 days. I love that meme so much.
It's so good. It's so good.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Hour of reckoning. You just have to like sound like imagine what you think Johnny Cash sounded like on his deathbed, and then was also eating or was also taking shots of popcorn butter. That's what you have to like. You have to conjure up when.
That's what you have to visualize. Yeah.
Stay tuned. It's so stupid. And on that note, everyone, thank you everybody for listening and watching. Again, guys, make sure you guys are checking out Saucy Mailman, everything that he's doing, as well as you don't have to check me out. That's fine. Watch the cast that I'm doing though, because there's really high level play and high level Runeterra content coming out from that. But and of course the discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. In case you haven't already joined, make sure you are doing that. But that is going to be it for this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching live. We do the show live every Wednesday at 8 Eastern, twitch.tv/theblevins. And yeah, thank you for everyone who listened live. Thank you for all the podcast listeners and the Discord homies. But until next time, for Saucy Mailman, I am the Blevins, and we will be back next week and talk about some more Legends of Runeterra.